Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaste. Now we move on to the next chapter of Natya Shastra named Vachikabhinaye Chando Vibhagaha. So from here Bharata starts the chapters on Vachikabhinaya. He defines each and every form which can be brought under Vachikabhinaya. And this chapter especially talks about Chando Vibhagaha, the prosody under Vachikabhinaya, the verbal representation. The first sloka of this chapter says, Yo Vagabhinayaha Prokto Maya Purvam Dvijottamaha Lakshanam Tasya Vakshyami Swara Vyanjana Sambhavam. O best of Brahmins, I shall now speak about the nature of verbal representation which has been mentioned before and which relates to the vowels and consonants. So, he says that he will move on with the definition of Swara and Vyanjana. The importance of Vachikabhinaya in drama, especially the speech. Vachi yatnastu kartavyo natyasyesha tanuhu smrita anga nepatya satvani vakyartham vyanjayanti he. He says one should take care of words. Vachi yatnastu kartavya. Why? Natyasya yesha tanuhu smrita. These are known as the body of drama, dramatic art. Anga nepatya satvani, and gestures, costumes, makeup and the sattva. Vakyartham vyanjayantihi. What do? They clarify the meaning of the words. So, Vachika is the base for Angika, Vachika is the base for Satvika, and Vachika is the base for Aharya. Thus, he moves on into the elements of words. Vangmayaniha shastrani Vangnishtani tathaivacha Tasmad vachaha param nasti Vaghi sarvasya karanam. So, Vak is the karana for everything. The words are the source for everything. In this world, all the shastras are made up of word. Vangmayaniha shastrani. Vangnishtani. They rest on words. Hence, tasmad vachaha param nasti. There is nothing beyond words. Vaghi sarvasya karanam. Therefore, words are the source for everything. So, this is one of the important shloka for Vachikabhinaya. Then he moves on to the grammar. Nama akhyata nipateir upasarga samasa tadhita tadhiter yuktaha sandhi vibhaktishu yukto vigneyo vachikabhinayaha. So, what does the verbal representation connect with? It is related to nama, nouns, akhyata, verbs, nipata particles, upasarga prepositions, tadhita normal suffix, nominal suffix, samasa compound words, and sandhi euphonic combinations, and vibhakti the case endings. Then he talks about the recitation, two types of recitation. Dvividam hi smritam patyam. The recitation is of two types. Samskritam prakritam tatha. One is Samskrita and another one is Prakrita. Then he starts explaining, differentiating between Samskrita and Prakrita. And then he moves on to the different aspects of recitation. Recitation consists of vowels, consonants, and all these vyanjanani, swaraschaiva, sandhyo, ata vibhaktayah, nama akyata upasargascha, nipatas tadhitas tatha. Etair angavidhanaistu nana dhatu samashrayam vigneyam samskritam patyam tad vakshyami samasatah. He says the Sanskrit recitation is characterized by these rules regarding the various verbal roots. So now he says he will move on to their application. Then he talks about speech and sounds. Akaradhyaha swara gneya aukarantas chaturdashaha hakarantani kadini vyanjanani vidurbudhaha. The 14 sounds beginning from a and ending with au are known as vowels. And the group of sounds beginning from ka to ha are consonants. So we have a, e, u, r, l, e, I, o, au as swaras, and ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, ta, da, dha, na, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma, ya, ra, la, va, sha, sha, sa, ha as consonants. Then he says the two sounds from each group are unvoiced, aghosha, and the rest are called ghosha. Of course, these are to be classified voiced and unvoiced, velar, labial, dental, lingual, nasal, sibilant, palatal, and visarjaniya. These groups are given, and we have to, of course, give the sound which is generally known as either it is short or lengthy one, ka, ka. It can be known as hrasva or dirgha. Then it is ka, kha, which is known as alpa prana and mahaprana. These are all what we know, but according to him the terms are slightly different because it's more an earlier text. Then he talks about the consonants which come from kantha, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, or kanthastha, that is the velar group. Then we have cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, which are palatal. Then ta, tha, da, dha, na, which are dental, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma, which are labial. So, these are given here by Bharata. Then the Visarjaniya is to be from the throat, he says. Then there are sounds beginning with ka and ending in ma are all called stops, sparsha. And the sha, sha, sa, ha are open, they are called vivritta. And the semi vowels are samvritta. Samvrita. And na, na, nya, nga, ma, all these are nasal sounds. Then he talks about the quantity, the vowels. They are 14 vowels. 10 constitute homogeneous pairs, samana, of which the first one are short and the second ones are long. Here he gives the term hrasva and dhirga. Purvo hrasvastesham parascha dirgho vidhatavyaha. Then the 4 kinds of words constituted with vowels and consonants. The words include verbs which are akhyata, nouns which are nama, roots which are dhatu, prepositions which are upasarga, and particles which are nipata, nominal affixes which are tadhita, euphonic combinations which are sandhi, and terminations of case endings, cases and verbs which are vibhakti. Then he explains each and every term. He explains noun. What is a noun? The noun has its function determined by the case endings such as su and the like, and by special meanings derived therefrom, and it is of 5 kinds and has a basic meaning, pratipadikartha and gender. So, thus he explains noun and then moves on to verb. A collection of 500 roots divided into 25 classes is to be known as verbs in connection with the recitation, and they add to the meaning to the nouns. Then the particles, as they come together, nipatanti, with declined words, pada, to strengthen their basic meaning, root, meter or etymology, they are called nipatas, particles. Then the affix, as it distinguishes the ideas, pratyayas, and develops the meaning of the root by intensifying it, combining it with another, or pointing out its essential quality, that is sattva, it is called pratyaya, affix. Then the nominal affix, as it develops suitable meaning by an elision of some of the sounds, a separation of its root and affix, and or their combination, and by pointing out an abstract notion, it is called tadhita, which is the nominal affix. Then the case endings, as they vibhajanti, distinguish between the meaning of an inflected word or words with reference to their roots or gender, they are called vibhakti, which are case endings. Then the euphonic combinations, sandhis, when a separated vowel or a consonant combines with another, sandhiyate, they combine with each other, coming together, Yogataha, they combine. In a word or words, it is called Sandhi, the euphonic combination. As due to the combination of the words and the meeting of two sounds, their sound sequence, Sandhiyate, develops a combination. He says that is how there are different sounds produced. Then the compound words, which are called as samasas, which combine many words to express a single meaning and suppresses affixes, has been described by the experts to the 6 kinds such as Tatpurusha, etc. With these grammar rules, that is the Shabda Vidhana, which include minute details and suggestiveness, one should make a composition by combining in verse or putting them loosely in prose. So, this is given here for the composers to compose a poem, especially for a Nataka, there are prose and poetry verses. We have the Vachanas. In a Champu Kavya, we have prose and poetry, and it can be just a poetry or a prose. So, for all these basic grammars should be followed. Grammatic elements should be followed. That is why Bharata starts this Vachika Abhinaya chapter by giving definitions for these terms. Then he moves on to explain the 2 kinds of words. He says padas are inflected words and they are of 2 kinds. They can be metrically used or they can be loosely put together in prose. That is, Vibhaktyantam padam nyeyam nibaddham churnamevacha tatra churnapadasyeha bahir bodhata lakshanam. It can be nibaddha, tied, or properly placed in meter, or it can be churna pada, it can be just words let loose. So, then he moves on to describing the details for churna pada. What is that? Anibaddham padavrindam tatha cha niyataksharam arthapekshakshara-yutam nyeyam churnapadam budaihi. Padas used loosely in prose are not schematically combined, have not the number on their syllables regulated, numbers or their syllables regulated, and they contain syllables required to express the meaning. So, they have to only express the meaning. There need not be any meter or any particular combination of words, the numbers for the words, etc. But in a verse, padas, how they are to be? Nibaddha akshara samyuktam, nibaddha akshara samyuktam, yatichcheda samanvitam, nibaddham tu padam, nyeyam, pramanam, pramana niyataksharam. Padas metrically used consist of schematically combined syllables which have feet. That is, they are to be numbered and regulated accordingly. This is to be known as nibaddha, which is composed with a particular combination. Then he talks about the rhythm type called Chandas and the Vritta, the syllabic meters made upon with 4 feet, which expresses different ideas and consists of short and long syllables. What are they? The rhythm types are given here. Shadvimshati smritaniha padehe chandamsi sankhya. So the rhythm types with feet are 26 in number. Vrittas, syllabic meters, which are compositions including these rhythm types, are of 3 kinds. They are Sama, even meter, Ardha Sama, semi-even, or Vishama, uneven. So these are the 3 types of Vrittas. So these are very, very important in dance and theatre. For the dance, songs are to be penned accordingly. It can be for any language. Though Bharata is given these for Sanskrita, then he also talks about Prakrita, which is the regional language. So many of these qualities are to be taken care of in the regional languages also. So those days there was a beautiful combination of Samskrita, which was a refined language, and Prakrita, which was the regional language belonging to that Pradesha. So naturally, if the dramas were performed in the Odramagadi region, Samskrita will also be used, and the Prakrita of Odramagadi region will also be used. Same way for all the regions. The main language Samskrita was common for all the regions, and they differed from each other based on their Prakritas. So here he adds the rhythm type Chanda. He says Nana Vritta Vinishpannam Shabda Moolam Tu Tat Smritam. The rhythm types which assume the form of different syllabic meters have their base in words. Chando hino na shabdo asti na chandaha shabda varjitaha tasmat thubaye samyukte natyodhyotake smrite. He says there is no word without rhythm and no rhythm without a word. Combined with each other, they are known to illuminate the drama. It might be prose or poetry, or even the vachanas. We have a rhythm or an intonation to recite the vachanas so that they are understood properly. Then he talks about 26 types of rhythm. They are given in detail. I will just give you the names. The rhythm type with 1 syllable in a foot is called Ukta. With 2 syllables, it is called Atyukta. With 3 syllables, Madhya, and with 4 syllables, Pratishtha, and with 5 syllables, Supratishta. With 6 syllables, it is Gayatri. With 7 syllables, it is Ushnik, and 8 syllables, it is Anushtup, which is very common. With 9 syllables, Brihati, 10 syllables, Pankti, 11 syllables, Trishtup, 12 syllables, Jagati with 13 syllables. Ati Jagati with 14 syllables. Shakvari with 15 syllables. Ati Shakvari with 16 syllables. Ashti. 17 syllables. Ati Ashti. 18 syllables. It is called Dhriti. With 19, Ati Dhriti. With 20, Kriti. And with 21, it is Prakriti. With 22, Akriti. With 23, Vikriti. With 24 syllables, Sankriti. With 25, Atikriti. And with 26, it is Utkriti. That is how he names these 26 varieties of rhythm patterns. So, whoever is interested in composing poems should take up these chapters, or even if you have a flair for writing dramas, vachanas, or even a prose passage, you should be very thorough with all these. So, then he gives the Mala Vrittas, those containing more syllables. So, he gives a variety of patterns, and finally he says, adding together all these numbers of different metrical patterns, we find their total as 13 crores 42 lakhs 17,726 varieties. See how mind-boggling it is. Then he gives a method of defining meters. Sarvesham chandasam evam vrittamsham katitam maya. He says, he has told about the even meters he has given. He says that you should know how the triads make up the syllabic meters, where these are 120,000 or a crore. This is the rule for the formation of all syllabic meters or meters in general. He gives a generic statement telling that triads are 8 in number and have their own definitions. 3 syllables, heavy or light, or heavy and light, make up a triad. They are to be considered as a part of each metrical pattern. Here we have the terms such as Guru, Laghu. Guru is heavy, Laghu is light. And we have a combination of Guru and Laghu. Then he talks about a normal, regular couplet. He says, a couplet in which the number of syllables is neither in excess or nor wanting is called a regular one. Sampadi or Sampada. The pause is very, very important. Virama occurs when the meaning has been finally expressed. Then he talks about a foot. Pada arises from the root pad and it means 1/4 of a couplet. Then he also gives the presiding deities of meters, Agni and the like, presiding over different meters are their deities, he says. And the location is given. Location is of 2 kinds, he says, that relating to the body and that to a particular region. Then again, quantity of syllables. Syllables are of 3 kinds: Hrasva, short, Dirgha, long, and Pluta, prolated. Then the meter has colors like white and others. It is not explained in detail here. Then he moves on to the pitch of vowels. They are of three kinds. Taraschaiva, hi mandrascha, madhyamastrividaha swaraha. So it is high, low and medium. Tara, mandra and madhyama. Then he talks about the characters in connection with the rules of the dhruvas, the songs. They are to be dealt with in the later chapters. He says the rules of the dhruvas relate to the occasion and the meaning of the song. Then three kinds of syllabic meters. What are they? Syllabic meters are of three kinds. Even is sama, semi-even is ardha sama, and uneven is vishama, which is already given earlier. Then he also talks about the number of syllables in a foot of any meter is deficient or in excess by 1. It is respectively called nivrita or bhurika. If it is less by 2 or excess by 2, it is called swarat and virat. All these syllabic meters fall into three classes. He says they are divine, human and semi-divine. That is Divyataraschaiva. The shloka goes thus: Divyo, Divyetaraschaiva, Divya Manusha evacha. So the names of Divya, the meters are Gayatri, Ushnik, Anushtup, Brihati, Trishtup and Jagati, which belong to Divya class. Then the meters which belong to the human class: Ati Jagati, Shakvari, Ati Shakvari, Ashti, Atyashti, Dhriti and Ati Dhriti belong to the human class. And finally, the semi-divine: Kriti, Prakriti, Vyakriti, Vikriti, Sankriti, Abhikriti and Utkriti belong to the semi-divine class. And thus he ends this chapter on the metrical patterns which are based on the Sanskrit grammar. Namaste.